On November 11th, this happened. And whilst the Warriors weren't the first, and definitely won't be the last team to be blown out by OKC, this was also their 5th loss in 7 games, including losses to the Pacers and losses to the Kings and Bucks without Giannis. And after a good start to the season, things were looking shaky for the Dubs. Well, 3 games since then, and the Warriors are now 9-6, with 3 consecutive wins on the road, including 2 of the best games of the season, and all of a sudden, this team just looks different. And it helps when you have the greatest shooter on earth on your team. Moses Moody is that guy.
Can score at times. Moody again!
Yeah, because after Steph Curry had the best back-to-back performances of the year against the Spurs and Wemby, Moses Moody decided, anything you can do, I can do better. Going off for 7 threes in the first quarter against the Pelicans, and obviously, I'm kind of joking, about him being better than Steph, but Moses Moody has changed everything for the Warriors this season, because after struggling his first few games recovering from an injury, over his last 8 games, Moses is averaging 16.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.5 assists per game. And Moses has always been a reliable 3-point shooter, but he's just got a different level of confidence to his game now. Like here off the pin down, where he gets the screen from Horford and in rhythm just comfortably knocks it down. Or this time where he gives it up to Dre and then circles back towards the ball, and it's how quickly he's able to catch and then fire whilst fading to his right. And it's the 3-point shooting that has changed everything for this Dubs team. Because we have seen Kuminga, Pods, Buddy, Melton, GP2. The Dubs have tried every kind of combination next to Steph. And while some of these guys can do things Moses can't, when you have Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, just give me a guy who can knock down threes and is going to work on defense. That is exactly what Moses does. He will be in the right place at the right time. He will not demand extra touches, and when the ball touches his hand on open threes, you have confidence that is going in. And this recent win against the Pelicans was actually refreshing to see, because after Steph absolutely carried the Warriors against the Spurs, scoring 95 points in 2 games, 2 of the best games of his career at 37, 2 of the greatest back-to-back performances in NBA history, Steph Curry made 2 field goals against the Pelicans. And instead of the Warriors folding, Moody stepped up, Jimmy stepped up, Pod stepped up, the entire team stepped up. And this is with no Jonathan Kuminga. And I know people have gone off JK again, but we saw what he can do early this season. We saw what he can do when he rebounds the ball, when he playmakes, when he is engaged defensively. If he plays that role, he's going to be a positive contributor. And anytime you can win a game when Steph Curry makes 2 field goals, even against the Pelicans, you take that. Now, in saying this, we do need to talk about the 2 games against the Spurs, because I mentioned it there, but this was 2 of the greatest back-to-back performances ever, even disregarding his age. And I know we say it all the time, but no one will ever be like Steph Curry again. And in a game where you could focus solely on his scoring because it was that special, I want to show you a different play. 90 seconds remaining and the Warriors trailing by 3. Pods has the ball out of bounds. Draymond sets the screen for Steph, and pause here. These guys aren't even looking in Draymond's direction. Their sole focus is on Steph Curry, and that allows Draymond to literally walk to the rim for a layup in clutch time because of the cheat code that is Steph Curry. And that wasn't it either, because the very next play, this time it's Jimmy setting the screen. He doesn't get it initially, but as Steph gives it to Draymond, they stay attached to Steph, and then Jimmy gets it rolling to the rim for the easy 2. And this is what Steph Curry does every single game. Even in the game against the Pelicans, where he only had 2 field goals, the entire game, he was creating open looks for his teammates. And it's easy to forget that when we talk about KD and LeBron, these guys are the most freakish athletes in human history. Steph is a great athlete, obviously, but he is about my height, not to flex, but he is at least human as an athlete. These guys are superhuman. Steph has incredible endurance and core stability and so many great athletic traits, don't get me wrong, but you guys know what I mean. I mean, you see what LeBron James does. That is not a human. Wemby, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry should not be doing this, and we see it when you compare him to other guards in NBA history. This is so unprecedented. And if we're going to talk about longevity, what about his teammates? Mr. Draymond Green, because whilst he has struggled with scoring the last few games, what he did to Victor Wembanyama should not go unnoticed. Because it's easy to look at the 2 games against the Warriors from Wemby and see him averaging 28 points and 7 assists and doing things like this.
It's into Wembanyama with the jackhammer!
And think he cooked Draymond, but we know what we saw. And what we saw was at 35 years old, Draymond can still do things that no one else can do defensively. Just like here, where Wemby gets the ball just inside the arc, he tries to get past Draymond, and look. Right here you can see the wingspan, the timing of Draymond, and with Draymond almost blocking that shot, Wemby forces a pass and it's a turnover. Or on this play, with this time he's setting the screen for Fox. Draymond stunts before recovering, and again, just because of Draymond's ability to get into Wemby's space, what would normally be a dunk for Wemby, he passes it up and instead it's a turnover. And that is Draymond's superhuman ability. It's his ability to be physical without fouling, to force guys like Wemby to spots on the floor that they don't want to go. And should we just talk about every senior citizen on this team? Because there's a lot of them. Jimmy Butler would be considered that in NBA terms, but I'm not talking about Jimmy. I want to talk about Al Horford. So far this season, Al Horford is averaging 5 points and shooting 30% from the field and 30% from 3. And your first instinct might be, yeah, this guy is 39 years old. Of course he's washed. But I think it's the opposite. I think Al Horford is going to get back to being the efficient 3-point shooter, which he has been for years. Because if Al Horford was washed, we would see it on the defensive end of the floor. Standing in the corner and hitting threes is something he could probably do for another 10 years. But when you look at how he's been defending, that should give you hope that Al Horford still has at least 1, maybe even 2 good years left in him. Just look at him here, where he's guarding Cornet. He shows on Castle before recovering, and while staying attached to Cornet, he then gets around him and blocks the shot. And it's not just when he's in the action either. This time he's on the weak side with Keldon Johnson attacking, and once Keldon gets past, look at our help off Cornet and the perfect timing. And even though he has been struggling from 3, at 39 years old, the way he moves, his strength, his body control, his timing, his agility, all of these things are still so elite. And as much as I love Quentin Post, you see it in matchups like against the Spurs, where having Al Horford out there for 25 minutes, it is like having a different version of Draymond Green. And I promise you, that 3-point shooting is going to turn around. And when it does, he's going to be so crucial for this Warriors team. And for a team that looked kind of cooked 3 games ago, I mean, Steph Curry has saved them once again. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of the video and want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. Dropping a like would be cool. Have a great day.